Update. Am I the a-hole for not giving in to my brother's tantrums? Original story. I, female 29, recently bought a house and a brand new car. I will admit I probably splurged on my house more than I should. But growing up very poor, it has been always a dream of mine to live in a nice house. I worked really hard to be where I am. So much so that I undergo countless breakups because I always choose career over boys. My brother, male 25, is currently jobless. He works as a tourist guide before and can barely make ends meet. He has 5 kids now, and counting, as his wife announced pregnancy recently. He messaged me on Facebook that there is something he wants to talk about, and I thought he wants to name me godmother to his incoming baby. I said sure, and invited him to the house to get his approval about some things I modified for our parents. I gave him a tour and he admired my house greatly, saying things like how excited he is to bring the kids to my house. I do not mind anything about it, as I thought he meant a visit, which I'm more than happy to host them for. Imagine my surprise when he finally sat me down and finally revealed what he wants to talk about. He wants me to give him my house. I clarified whether he meant this house or the other house I bought for my parents which I still lived in. Still has modifications ongoing with my dream house. He said the house is big enough for his family and I can go visit them anytime I like. He even offered that if I really wanted to live there, I can go move into the maid's room and modify it for my personal use. I was shocked, I cannot speak, as he thanked me over and over for the house. I finally asked him where the heck did the idea come from, and he said our mother told him I will give him my house. I of course corrected that, and this is where things gone south. My brother repeatedly said since our mom said the house is his now, I could not do anything but give in. I called my mother to tell him to buzz off, and lo and behold, my mother sided with my brother. To make this already long story short, my whole family had cut me off, and parents disowned me until I give my brother my house. My father has been brought to the hospital over this fight, and now I feel really bad. The guy I'm seeing now said to just give the house to my brother, and it'll help me to buy another. Reddit. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. To clarify, the house that they gave away is the newly bought one. One I thought where I could raise 5 adorable fur babies. Family home is in my name too, as I have to take out a loan back then to buy it. So yeah, it may be obvious I'm not the a-hole at first sight, but I feel like I could be one because my father got hospitalized over the ensuing fight for the house. Now for the top comments before I read the updates. Not the a-hole of course, but what the actual hell is going on here? The entitlement of your brother to expect that you will give him your house? And the nerve of your parents expecting that you would indeed do this? Actually, if your parents want to provide for your brother, they can invite him to live in the house you've bought for them. And they can live in the maid's room. Your family's toxic, Opie. And if that's how they see you, as a bank, then cutting you off is a good thing for you. I'd kick everyone but the dad out of the homes Opie owns. Both of them. I'd lock it down with a lawyer for safety. Cameras. All of it. This sub is way too familiar with some insane people. Is this a joke? One of the clearest not a-hole I've ever seen. You already gave your parents one house, and they took it upon themselves to give your home away as well? Haha, thanks. I feel really awful though. As I mentioned, my father has been brought to the hospital over this. I feel really guilty because if I had not fought my brother and mother, he would have been probably fine. He thinks I should give my brother my house, as he thinks I can afford to buy another in a few years. He has a point, so it eats me up. Not a a-hole. And you should sell the other house in your name since they have disowned you, and take it to go on an amazing holiday. How horrible. This comment made me laugh. This is the same suggestion as my boss, who also happens to be my best friend. She said I should use the money to treat myself on a nice holiday in Europe as I had always wanted. Update. I'm trying to read all comments and I'm just so overwhelmed for your support. I'm temporarily staying at a friend's house ever since. Your encouraging words really helped ease my mood. I finally decided not to give this house, and sell the other one to help pay for a vast majority of the loan in my dream house. I also decided to remove my parents' access to my health plans and remove them and my insurance. Last but not the least, thank you for the award, kind strangers. Reading your comments made me realize how ridiculously unreal this sounds. And now for the update 8 months later. Hello. So, a lot of people have reached out to me since my original post. A lot has happened then, and I'll try to include much details as I can. So, I cut my family off back in December and removed them in all services that will benefit them being connected to me. Since I figured, hey mom, you told me I'm dead to you, then you get no free house from me anymore. So the reactions from our extended family were just as expected. Most of the adults sided with my mother, but my cousins expressed their support to me. I got uninvited with the family reunion I initially sponsored, and isn't that just the worst? My aunts and uncle had barricaded the gates when I arrived at my granny's house. I won't expand on this anymore because it still hurts until now. My mother also sued me for selling the first house back in January. It did not reach the higher courts and I won. Public perception of me got worse though. She and my brother took this defeat to twist the sympathy in their favor. They posted on social media about how I am an ungrateful daughter and that I owe them for everything I have. They also blamed me for my father's death. Yes, he died. I did not even get to attend a funeral because I'm banned. When this happened, I almost gave in and signed the papers to give the house to my brother. I blamed myself and believed them that my selfishness killed my father. At this point, my boyfriend convinced me to take a break from work and talk to a professional. I did just that, and I'm only now just realizing how messed up the way they raised me. Can't believe it took internet strangers to realize something is wrong with how they treated me. To be honest, I almost decided not to post an update. It was last month when my therapist suggested I should do it, because this is where me breaking off from them started. On the bright side, I saw how my fiancé's family really liked me because of this ordeal. I thought they were just being nice. But stuff happened and they supported me every step of the way, especially when my partner had to go overseas for a 1-week stay because of his job. They really took care of me, and even assured me I'm worth more than my family thinks I am. The nicest thing I've ever heard in my life came from his mother. Anyway, last July 21, my father's birthday, mother reached out to me. She explained to me that she understood she had no rights banning me from his funeral, but at the time all she can think about is how I cut them off my health plans, and it rendered them incapable of supporting my father's hospitalization. I did not realize this, and we cried for hours. She said she still blames me though, and doesn't think she can forgive me. I think I understand her. My therapist told me that thinking of what-ifs is counterproductive, but still, if I could go back in time, I'll help them with this. My brother won't talk to me. That's fine. The feeling is very much mutual. I believe in natural consequences. You cutting your parents and family off financially after being manipulated and mistreated is a natural consequence. Your mom can blame you all day long, but her actions are what got the ball rolling. You are amazing and strong for working so hard to move past this. This is why people say fate does have a sense of irony. Opie was willing to give almost everything to her family but wanted one thing for herself. Opie's family wouldn't allow that, so they lose everything else of Opie's that they'd already had, and had lots of consequences as a result. Their greed and selfishness actually killed him. Sucks to suck. That Opie is still being manipulated by these people is insane. Opie, you need to keep that no contact up. Your mom showed right away she hasn't learned anything, changed, nor does she see you as a human being. Just a thing that provides stuff for her. She said she still blames me though and doesn't think she can forgive me. I blame her. Maybe you're not the zoned person paying for your health care? Your mother could have told you, but instead did a smear campaign against you. Bite the hand that feeds. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for my reaction when my husband asked about dinner after I gave him the news of my mother's death? I lost my mom days ago to cancer. I had a good relationship with her and my sisters. I took part of her care and my husband helped a lot in the past few months. He loved mom, or so I thought. He helped me take care of her home. He'd visit daily when I stayed with her and he cleaned her yard, walked her dogs, handled her financial issues. He's an accountant. Brought her stuff she needed before she went to the hospital. He never complained about the efforts he made or time it took to help her out. I received the news of her passing from my sister at 6 p.m. My husband got home within 30 minutes. He was resting on a couch in the living room when I came downstairs and my face was very telling, but he didn't notice somehow. He casually talked about how long and hard his day was and didn't notice that I didn't say a word. I spoke up and told him my mother just passed. He asked when and I told him about an hour ago. He leaned back and stared at me for a long minute, then said, "So what's for dinner?" I froze in my place. I just looked at him and said, "What? You don't need me to take you to the hospital? We gotta eat first." I blew up at him and called him unbelievable for his response to the news of my mom's death. He argued back, talking about how he was working non-stop all day without having time to eat anything. Then basically talked about all the things he's done for Mom and how he owes nobody nothing. He said he was sorry for needing to eat after coming home hungry after working for hours, and said that my reaction to lashing out was misplaced and unfair. I stormed off upstairs and got ready to go meet my sister. He wanted me to wait till he ate something, but I refused to speak and left. I stayed with my sister after the funeral. He came to try to talk to me, but I felt I wasn't ready. My sister was confused, saying no matter what his response was to the news, my husband doesn't deserve this treatment from me after he helped out, and I should just try to work it out with him. But I told her to stay out of it. Not today, Hole. The first thing he said wasn't even, "I'm sorry" or "Are you alright?" It was to ask you what you were going to make him for dinner, an hour after you learned your mother died. He didn't even acknowledge her passing at all before he asked you for food. And then he didn't even apologize for it. He gave you non-apologies and told you why you shouldn't be angry at him and how unfair it was, all while still never offering the bare minimum level of condolences for you losing your mother. I'm so curious about the long pause. He was thinking about what to say. It wasn't a knee-jerk comment, which is what he was implying. He also doubled down on blaming her. And hello, he can't make himself a sandwich? I get the impression that he was thinking that Opie could go back to being his maid now that her mom was dead. Hold? Yes, but I can't think of anything else. He made a decision to offend her. He thought about what he was saying. Not today, Hole. For me, it's definitely that he doubled down on it too. I can give people a pass for saying the wrong thing if they acknowledge they said the wrong thing and apologize, but he did not do that. Wow. Not today, Hole. He's a grown adult. He can make himself a damn sandwich. I can't even imagine my husband reacting like that if my mother died. Not today, Hole. That is a sentence one would never expect to hear after telling someone, much less their own partner, that their loved one has passed. I am speechless. What's for dinner? Is he always this unsupportive and indifferent towards you and your feelings? Dear God. You have every right to be outright shocked by your husband's response to such tragic news, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I'm so sorry for your loss, and for you having gotten so little support from the person who should have been supporting you the most at the time of your sorrow. I don't know what made him act like that. Yes, he would usually complain about being overwhelmed. I always try to listen to what bothers him. I'd expect him to at least listen to me and comfort me while going through these rough times. My sister said that maybe he expected my mom to pass away, so the news wasn't surprising to him. But still, I'm honestly shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I'm mad. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to hold my newborn nephew? My sister is mad at me, 21 male, for this. Want to give some quick info first. 2 years ago, my girlfriend and I had a baby girl, but she was born premature, and she was so small. I only got to hold her once before she passed. It was really, really hard. I loved her so much. But now that it's been a while, I didn't think these feelings would come up when my sister announced she was pregnant. We were all happy for her, including me, and thought it was cool to become an uncle. She gave birth and my nephew is a month old. We came over for the first time to her house last weekend, and everyone wanted to hold him. My mom was by me when my sister handed her the baby. And I don't know, but me seeing him moving around making noises, it took me back to thinking about my baby girl. I haven't been close to another baby since my daughter. This would be my second time ever holding a baby and wasn't my daughter. And in my head I'm thinking, I can't do this. My mom asked if I want to hold him. Told her it's okay, she can keep holding him. And my mom nodded to me like she understood. But my sister joked that her son doesn't bite. So what's the problem? I told her no problem, just didn't feel right. We went on like nothing. My dad held him for a bit and everyone was talking. Again, my sister brings up how come I don't want to hold her son. Do I have a problem with him? I told her no, it's not like that. It's just hitting me right now, and I don't know if I feel right holding him. It's bringing up some hard feelings remembering my daughter is what I told her. My sister didn't say anything else, but she was quite mad. We left hours later, then she called me to tell me what she really feels. She can't believe I tried to make it about me during a time when it was meant to be a happy first meeting, and that I'm an A for not wanting to hold my nephew. Because it's like I'm rejecting him and taking it out on him that I don't have a daughter anymore. It wasn't like that, and I tried to tell her it was gonna be heavy for me to hold him, so I didn't think I would be able to handle. She still thinks I was really crappy and she wants a real apology. My girlfriend says screw her. I wanna agree, but I don't know if that's the defensive part of me that doesn't think I did anything wrong. Was I an a-hole for how I reacted? Not an a-hole, and holy cow, your sister needs a reality check. She's clearly never had to grieve anything as serious as the loss of a child. It didn't have to become about you, but she kept pushing. Also, she's taking your very real and raw grief and trying to make it about her. Who cares if you hold a baby or not? I don't know about other moms, but I'd be grateful for my baby not being passed to everyone, especially in the middle of a pandemic. Seriously, I was talking to my partner about this the other day. I told them that if we had children together, I was uncomfortable with other people outside of ourselves kissing or holding for the first month at least. After that, holding would be fine, but I still probably would be uncomfortable about kisses for the first 2 years. This would be my first kid, so I'm probably being a little overprotective. But I've seen so many die at a young age because someone had what they thought was a minor illness and decided to kiss a child anyways. 100%. My nephew ended up in the hospital because my mother-in-law kissed him while she had a cold sore. He was 3. She kissed my 3-year-old the other day, and I almost lost it. Not a day-hole, but I'd also not hold it against your sister just yet. She's a new mom who's dealing with both lack of sleep and still wacky from the pregnancy hormones at this point. She was an a-hole, but I expect that when she's further recovered and rested, you'll be able to discuss it properly, where she'll be able to understand your perspective and be contrite. Not an a-hole. You are still grieving, and it was a shock to your system that brought back things you were still bothered by. Your sister was an a-hole for trying to force you to hold your nephew when you were still hurting. If anything, your sister owes you an apology for her fits of anger and absolute disregard for your feelings. You didn't do anything wrong and didn't know you would be triggered when put in that position.
Update. For years, my husband said that if I want stability in our life, I have to make it happen. I did, and now things are worse than ever. Original post. To sum up, my husband, 37 male, and I, 35 female, have been married 10 years. We have a good marriage and have never faced any truly difficult times. It'll be difficult to explain everything that goes into this, but I'm happy to expound in the comments. Basically, the last decade has largely been focused on achieving financial independence. I had never been a very business-oriented person until I met my husband. He is extremely entrepreneurial, and his passion for it is catching. We have run our own businesses together and separately throughout our marriage. The goal has always been to make enough money on location-independent businesses so we can live freely. Not necessarily retire, but have more freedom. Because of his encouragement, I am now on a career path that could easily result in that. In 10 years, we have moved 25 times, all because better opportunities have presented themselves, or current opportunities have dried up. We're now facing number 26 with number 27 not far away because number 26 doesn't look like that good of a prospect. Without giving away details, my business fluctuates greatly. I've had months where I pull in mid-5 figures and long stretches of a few hundred. My career outside of this is food service with a very definite wage ceiling. My husband's career is professional, and he can easily find a 6-figure salary position. His current online business currently brings in low 4 figures. We have always relied on him going back to work when money runs low. He's in high demand, can practically snap his fingers and get a job. I cannot. Here's the conflict, and where I'll try to eliminate as much of my bias as possible. My husband is completely burned out. He physically and emotionally can't deal with the stress of going to work right now. He has supported me through the last couple of years when my income has been low. I've always been aware of my financial contribution and made up for it by carrying the grand majority of the household chores, even when I was working 60+ hours as a manager and pulling in half his wage. But as our savings are dwindling, it's looking more and more like I'll have to get a job. That means pushing my business to the back burner, working a physically demanding job, all for a quarter of the pay he could get. I'm not one to spend money. We didn't have a wedding. We bought my wedding band 3 years after we got married. I cut my own hair. I work from home in sweatpants. It's not as though I've forced him to work jobs he hates in order to provide me with an extravagant lifestyle. I have worked crappy jobs to help provide for us in the past, and even when my business isn't earning a ton, I still put in 50+ hours a week. I'm craving stability, not permanence. Just the feeling that I can unpack our boxes and not feel like I should save them in a closet knowing in 6 to 9 months I'll need them again. We've been child-free for years, but the last couple of years the topic has been coming up more and more. Yet I feel it's impossible to even discuss the idea of starting a family in the face of such uncertainty. I miss my cats. They're living with my parents overseas. I want a fish tank and a place to hang pictures. He says, if you want those things, then make them happen. Which, fair enough. I completely agree with that. I don't want to rely on him to provide the life I want. However, it leaves me feeling a combination of emotions I can't really put a word to. I find myself going through mental exercises of, what would I do in this situation if I were single? How would I support myself? And I start to feel resentful. I'm not single. I'm married. And not only that, I'm not sure I can make enough money to support us. I desperately want him to find what it is he's meant to do. I don't care about the money or the dreams of financial independence if it means he's miserable trying to get there. He's been trying to work out which direction to change to for the past year and has yet to come up with anything solid. I know it's all about give and take, but I can't help but feel, I don't know. I don't have the words. And I'm at a complete loss as to how we resolve this. By the way, we have talked about all of this about 1,957 times already. There's nothing written here he hasn't heard before. Edit. I appreciate all the comments and opinions. This got a lot more response than I expected. Just a few things. It's difficult to sum up an entire life in a few hundred words. The moves have been varied and obviously, with 25 of them, multiple reasons. Some were because my husband was offered a good job. Others were to be nearer to family. I've been pursuing my side business for the last 3.5 years. The 7 prior to that, I was in full-time employment, sometimes working a full-time job, while also helping to run our own business. He has not financially supported me for 10 years. I'm not sure where people got MLM from, but I'm in a creative field. As I said, I don't want to reveal details, but I create products and then sell them online. We are not scam artists, nor do we have to leave town because people are catching on to our pyramid scheme, LOL. As far as financials go, again, it's impossible to sum up 10 years of income. But we go through feast and famine periods, times when money is flowing in, and times when we live off what we've earned. We never live outside our means, and when money is good, we put thousands a month away to prepare for the down times. It's not a typical way of living, so I understand it's not easily relatable. Now for the top advice before reading the update. So, you both have entrepreneurial side businesses and full-time jobs, plus moving every 3 to 6 months for the last 10 years? That would burn anybody out. I know financial independence is a dream, but it seems like if both put down roots, maybe for a specified time, like 4 years, and found stability, burnout wouldn't be a factor. Financially and emotionally, starting over takes a toll. I want to say make a plan, but sometimes you have to go with the flow, work a job, and just make it day to day without trying to achieve large crushing goals of making it big with an entrepreneurial venture. We go back and forth when it comes to the full-time employment. Because of his high salary and short lifespan when working, it's been more like 6 months on, several months off, but there is always a side business. Always. If your husband is no longer able to work due to psych or emotional issues, he should see a doctor and get a diagnosis that will allow him to apply for SSD in the States. Moving 25 times in 10 years would make me want to settle down also. Financially, how long will it take you to burn through your assets at the current rate? If your husband is not disabled by his burnout at some point, it's reasonable that you want him to start generating income again. We're financially responsible, so the panic bells don't start ringing until we get down to a decent chunk left in savings. Part of having such a flexible lifestyle is keeping enough liquid cash around to be able to pick up and go without difficulties. Right now, he has an online business that is bringing in enough to pay the bills, but not contribute anything to savings. I'm not bringing in anything. Now for the first update 9 months later. I'm writing partly to sort all this out in my head and partly for outside perspectives. I don't even know what to think anymore. Again, I'm happy to explain any details that need fleshing out if it helps. I'll try to be concise, and I truly appreciate you reading. 9 months ago, I posted asking for help about my frustration with going back to work after my husband burned out in his career. For the sake of anonymity, I tried to be vague with the details, and many thought our work was on the dodgy side. I don't care about keeping it anonymous. All these factors are relevant. I'm an author. I self-published books and made a decent living doing it for several years. My husband is a software developer and mainly buys existing online companies and fixes them up to sell. When that's not working, he tries to work a normal 9 to 5, but typically lasts no more than 6 months. His last attempt was 1 day. My career before this was in the food industry, which means crap pay, long hours, and very sore feet. I got a job that pays 95% of the bills. The rest is covered by savings. Yeah, I'd rather be working for myself, but I like it. I'm good at it. It's the first time I actually enjoy going to work. For the last few months, I've been slowly changing, and it feels like my husband and I are drifting apart. At first, I thought it was a natural phase. Things will definitely feel different compared to working under the same roof all day and night. Now, I don't know. From the previous thread, he says, if you want those things, then make them happen. I am making enough money to support us, and it feels good. It's given me confidence in a way I haven't had before. But it's also made something glaringly obvious in our relationship. We disagree on just about everything, and we have very little in common. I'm happy to work on my writing on the side while I work. He thinks I've given up on our dream and have settled for a world, the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday world, he is loath to spend time in. He sold his business and is still figuring out what he wants to do next. I want to buy a flat in the city. He wants to move to the country or use our savings to travel or live remotely. I want to settle for a while and make friends. He thinks there's plenty of time for that in the future. I want to make our home cozy and put up decorations like photos and artwork. While he likes it, he thinks of it all as just pointless stuff we shouldn't waste money on. I could go on, but you get it. It feels like literally everything I like he hates. I've also realized that most of the moves, most of the big decisions, were things I went along with. I'm not saying he bullied me or anything, just that I didn't feel too strongly one way or the other. So I tended to go with what he wanted. Of course, we talked about it, but I rarely was the one pulling in the bulk of the income, so I didn't feel like I had much of a say. Now I feel strongly about a life direction and have the ability to make it happen, and I feel guilty. He says I've changed, that he's the same as he's been, wants the same things he's always wanted. This is me altering the situation, which I agree with. But it's not like it's this massive bait-and-switch plan. Our entire marriage I've talked about settling down. I'm rambling. Here's the way I see it. We both love each other and genuinely want to make the other happy, which is why over 10 years, we've both compromised on choices that go against what we individually want. He goes to work for a little while so I can have a semi-stable home. I bounce around the world with him so he can discover himself and his career. But our tolerance for these periods has become too short to manage. He physically can't work for another person. I want to scream when I think about packing up my stuff and starting over again. Have we just spent so much of our marriage being distracted by the exciting newness of moving and pushing for financial independence that we didn't notice how little we have in common otherwise? I can't help but feel like this is on me. Not my fault per se, but on my shoulders. I'm the one rocking the status quo, and if I want things to balance out, it's up to me to adjust my expectations. You guys sound super incompatible. Is this really the man who you imagine building the life you want with? If you want a chance to keep this marriage afloat, I'd seriously consider couples counseling to see if you can find compromises here that both of you can agree to. If you can't find those compromises, then you should seriously consider moving on. I mean, yeah, I want to continue my life with him, I love him. I like him. We do enjoy each other's company. I really think these problems are probably for a professional. Time to go to couples counseling it is. Hopefully you guys can find compromise here and keep this marriage going strong. Good luck. Now for the final update 7 years later. I was recently cleaning out my bookmarks and found this old throwaway, and obviously the 2 posts I made with it. I'm not sure why now, but I feel compelled to write a follow-up. Maybe it'll give people the bravery to change, or at least an example of how sticking with what you know isn't always the best choice. An obviously very long story short, with the help of those posts and a lot of long nights of thinking, I left my husband. In fact, it took him going away for a long weekend to realize how much happier and at peace I felt without him around. At first the split was amicable, but looking back, I think he was just waiting for me to come rushing back to him once I realized my mistake. When that didn't happen, and he could see I was actually serious about building a new life for myself, a switch flipped. We only spoke when he needed something from me, and eventually, that stopped too. Enough about him. I'm now 42, happier, healthier, and more satisfied than I've been my whole life. I picked me, and that was the best choice I could have ever made. I lived alone for the first time, and my God, the peace of having my own space? Unrivaled. I ended up staying in that apartment for 5 years. Not a moving box in sight. I put art on the walls. I knew my neighbors. I made a home. I grew my career and went back to school. Made friends, built a little community. I've done a ton of therapy and realized that the abusive patterns my parents created in childhood were just repeating with my ex. I fell in love, a real love, a supportive love that encourages growth and security. I'm doing new work that helps people, and is so much more than just chasing money. All of those things have created a life that's more rewarding than I ever thought possible for myself. I've gone through some really crappy times too. Illness, cancer scares, deaths, loss. But I have no idea how I would have come out the other side without the community I'd built around me. Even something as simple as people at your local coffee shop recognizing you is a comfort after feeling adrift and alone for so long. Anyway, if I were to respond to myself from 7 years ago, this is what I would say. Leave the loser. He doesn't care about you, never did. He only cares about what you can do for him, and now that you aren't serving him, well, just go. You are capable of doing difficult things, and you are worthy of the work it takes to accomplish them. Trust your abilities. Trust your gut. It's been screaming at you for years now, honey. Life can be so much more than you've experienced, but you have to make it happen for yourself. Edit. I'm surprised but happy this found so many people. I genuinely thought I was going to bookend this story and have it disappear into the ether. But whatever urge I had to write it, and whatever brought you to reading it, who knows? Maybe it was meant to. Thank you for all the messages and comments. I feel so grateful to have this perspective and experience. This is as close to fairy tale ending as this world provides. I'm so happy for you. You brought tears to my eyes. Thank you. Oh God, I feel like this is a sign from the universe. I literally teared up. I'm also 42. I've been in limbo about what to do in my marriage for years. My nervous system is a wreck and I feel like I'm dying. I'm so happy everything worked out for you. It gives me hope. Maybe you're why I felt compelled to write this yesterday. So much love and peace to you. It's really ridiculous the number of women I know who leave marriages and blossom, thrive, are so much happier for it. You don't see that much talked about in the outside world. It's really remarkable. Last story. My partner used our trip fund. I'm incredibly mad, holding myself back from saying a lot of nasty things. I'm considering breaking up. How do you communicate about something like this? We, 23 female and 24 male, had been doing deliveries together day and night for this money. It's bad enough I had to hassle and fight for this date to happen. He complained about no time and there's no money, so I helped get it. Dusk till dawn so that we can do this. We pick a day together. We make most of our goal for the trip. I borrowed a few dollars to get items for the trip. I did put the money back in the next day. I calculate our expected expenses just to make sure our goal is enough. I ask what we have from deliveries in total. This idiot spent it. All of it. I of course asked him what happened. He said some expenses came up, that he had to eat and live as well. We'll make the money back. On top of, if I expect him to feel bad about it. Do I expect you to feel bad about spending our trip fund that I also worked hard on earning? I told him he should have starved before touching that. Bread, butter, and sugar, before he touched that money. I'm considering ditching him. Ghost. I was looking forward to that trip. I've working hard back to back for so long. I was ready for some peace and solitude at the beach. I needed it. Bad. And the money was there for it. And it was gone in a day. I can feel myself breaking down a bit. I really don't want to be a vile person to him. Is this something that I should even try to move forward from? It's hard for me to honestly look at him right now. I'm tired of things being stripped from me my whole life. He was the last person that I needed doing that right now. Communication and setting boundaries don't feel like it'll fix this. Now for the advice. This is a very reasonable reason to break up. I'm generally against ghosting unless it's a matter of safety, but you don't have to get into a big thing about it. You can just say, this relationship isn't working for me. I don't feel respected and valued, so I'm ending it. Yeah, break up. If he needs explaining to him why what he did was wrong, he's not fit to be in a relationship, and it's not your job to get him to understand that. He literally stole from you and then had the cheek to give you grief for calling him out on it. It's right you can't look at him. If you force yourself to forgive him and move on, you won't be able to look at yourself either. I can barely look at myself right now. This is embarrassing and quite frankly disrespectful. It always sucks seeing how manipulative someone truly is. Update. My 40 female husband, 42 male, told me our daughter's friend, 18 female, tried it on with him. I didn't react well. Original post. The last couple of weeks, my husband has been very quiet and not sleeping well. I've asked him a couple of times if he's okay, and he said yes, but I could tell something was bothering him. On Saturday, he said he needed to talk to me and burst into tears. I made us a cup of tea and sat down with him. He just blurted it out and said Ava, our daughter's friend, had been coming on to him and he didn't know what to do. He said it started when he made a cake for her 18th birthday party. She messaged him saying she got his number from our daughter and thanked him for the cake. She then sent a lot of photos of herself in the dress she wore for the party. He just replied, saying it looked like a fun party. She then messaged asking if he could look at her car for her, as it was making a funny noise. She came round and he looked at it and said it was the brakes. He told me this at the time, so he wasn't hiding anything. She came around when our daughter was home, but I wasn't, and she went inside while my husband worked on the car outside. When it was done, she came out alone and said she had no money on her, and he said that's fine, just bring it around whenever or give it to our daughter. She then said she could pay another way, and in his words, flashed me and I said I've got to go and went inside, closing the door. I read through all the messages, and he never replied to any of them after this incident. That afternoon, she messaged him saying, "Thanks for doing my car for me. You're cute when you're shy." She's messaged him hundreds of times since, asking if he's alone, asking for lifts, asking if he thinks she's pretty, and she sent loads of pics, from fully clothed to fully nude. My husband has said he didn't know whether to reply, to talk to her parents, or to talk to me. He said he's scared he's going to ruin our daughter's life if this comes out. I don't know why, but I suddenly exploded. I called him a pervert. I said he must have led her on. I said he must have paid her, as he's far too old and ugly for her. I called him disgusting and said I wanted him out of the house. I said he's ruined our daughter's life, and plenty of other awful things. I stormed out of the house, and when I came back an hour later, he was gone. Over the last couple of days, I've calmed down and realized he's done nothing wrong, and I reacted awfully. I've tried ringing and messaging him, but he's not responding. Why did I react like that, and how do I apologize to him? What do we do about these messages? Do we talk to her or her parents? Now for the top advice before reading the update. I don't really know what the answer is, but I can tell you, You've probably done some serious damage to your relationship with your husband. He tried to be honest with you. This was obviously weighing heavily on him if he cried, and you just crapped all over him and blamed him. Poor dude. He definitely won't be so transparent with OP in the future. She broke his trust. Which future? She basically told him he's old and far too ugly to be attractive to females, so he must have paid the girl. For me, that would be the deal breaker. You victim blamed your husband. He came to you scared and afraid, and you blamed him? He came to you for support, and you betrayed him. You're his wife. You're supposed to be his partner. You're supposed to trust him. He's supposed to be able to come to you when times are hard, and you betrayed him. You should be ashamed of yourself. He believed in you. I hope he doesn't come back. Instead of talking about speaking to the girl's family, first you should speak with your husband. Yep, divorce ASAP. OP probably drove him right to the 18-year-old. Why has your husband not blocked her number? And why are you assuming that this is his fault? Is it because you're not going to believe your husband of how many years over an 18-year-old child who's coming on to him? You're the a-hole. I don't know what came over me. I've never been the jealous or insecure type. I just suddenly got a massive pang of jealousy and pictured him with a younger, better-looking woman and lost it. This is all on me, not him. This right here is what you need to tell him. It's the only thing that could possibly make this okay with him. Tell him that you don't think he's old and ugly. You're jealous because you were scared of losing him to a younger, prettier woman. Your words, not mine. This is human. Mini update. It's 5 a.m. here in the UK now, and I'm going to drive to his brother's house, where he's staying, as I know he leaves for work about 6. I'm going to try and talk to him face to face. I've got flowers, chocolates, and I'm wearing his favorite outfit. I'll let you all know what happens. Now for the full update. So I went round to his brother's house yesterday morning at 5:30 a.m. to wait for him to leave for work so I could talk to him. I wore his favorite dress of mine and took him chocolate, flowers, and a letter I'd written for him. The talk went how a lot of you expected it to go. He told me he'd spoken to a lawyer and wanted a divorce. He said he can't get past what I said, and as soon as he laid eyes on me, he felt nothing but anxiety and a need to run. He said he'll never get over what I said and how I acted, and that's that. I know I deserve this, but I am still incredibly heartbroken. Last night, he also met up with our daughter and told her everything, and she is also not talking to me and said she's going to live with her dad when this is over. She also said her friend has been saying for years that she fancies my husband, but thought it was just stupid talk and she wouldn't actually do anything. She's still friends with Ava, but told her she will fall out with her if she does anything else. My husband also spoke to the girl's parents, who didn't really seem to give a damn. They said she's 18 and can do what she wants, and they are sorry she's tried to get with a married man, but they can't ban her from talking to people. She'll be going to uni in September, so they don't want to cause any unrest before she goes. My husband said he felt a lot more relaxed once he'd spoken to them and our daughter, so hopefully he can sleep now. So too long didn't read. Everyone knows now. I'm the bad guy, and Ava got away with no punishment. Why would Ava have gotten in trouble? She is a legal adult. Sure, she shouldn't have flirted with someone married, but that's life. It happens. Going to her parents was going to change absolutely nothing. He just went there to clear his name in case anything came of it. But the impression he got was as this wasn't even the first time it's happened. I'm sorry everyone is crapping on you, OP. Try to find a good therapist you can talk out your feelings and why you reacted like that. Then if you still want to be with your husband, try again. I'm already booked in to see a therapist about impulse control and anger management. Kind of disappointed that your daughter's choosing to stay friends with her considering she's been sexually harassing her dad. That would be a deal breaker for me. Same. I can't believe she would stay friends with little slag who tried to steal my husband. Next story. My BFF says she won't set me up with her male friend because I cheated on her brother 4 years ago. Should I still pursue things anyway? Original post. For background, my friend Amina and I, both 27 females, have been friends since kindergarten. There was a point in time when I considered her my best friend. In high school, I started dating her younger brother, Sean. We dated for about 6 years. We had a great relationship, and I messed up. I did. Now, not to justify what I did, but Sean did ROTC in college and eventually commissioned into the National Guard. During his first year in the Guard, he was extremely busy. He had his military duties and, on top of that, his regular 9-to-5 job. In a moment of selfishness, I met a really attractive guy, and the next thing I know, I'm cheating on my fiancé at the time. I was a selfish person and figured he would never find out. Well, the guy I was cheating with ended up stalking both myself and Sean, so Sean found out. It was a messy situation, and I hate that I put him through that. Sean broke off the engagement and still refuses to speak with me. Amina stopped being my friend, but we reconnected a year ago when we bumped into each other at the airport lounge. She got permission from Sean to rekindle our friendship, but Sean still refuses to speak with me, unfortunately. I can't say Amina and I are best friends like we used to be, but we are friends. Recently, Amina had a birthday dinner with all her boyfriend's friends, plus all of her own. Her male friend Ron is extremely attractive, put together, in great shape, good job, etc. Today I called her during our lunch break to ask for Ron's contact information and to put in a good word for me. She said no and asked me not to date him. She said he's a good friend, and after what happened with her brother, she doesn't want to go through that again. I told her I'm a changed person, and she contradicted herself, saying she believes me but still doesn't want me dating her friend. It's just weird. I'm not sure whether I should get his contact information some other way or just accept it. I just don't think she has the right to prevent me from dating her friend. Now for the top comments before reading the update. I just don't think she has the right to prevent me from dating her friend. Sure, you can date him all you want if he wants to date you too, but it wouldn't be unreasonable for her to warn her friend that you cheated on her brother in the past. 4 years is not that long ago. If you've changed, then good for you, but you can't expect everyone to just forget about it. I don't know. I feel it would be unreasonable. I was in my early 20s at the time. I think as a society, we need to give people the room to grow. We shouldn't constantly throw mistakes of their past in their face. She's valid. You romantically hurt someone she loves. And if she loves this friend, I think it's fair for her to worry about you having a romance with him as well. I did that when I was young and dumb. I was in my early 20s at the time. I've bettered myself. I already faced the consequences of my poor actions. And you've only just gotten her to be your friend again. You're basically still on probation and asking her to give you someone else's contact info and to go to bat for you. You claim to have changed, but why should she believe you? Because you pushed some air past your vocal cords? What matters more to you right now? Protecting your fragile friendship or trying to date some dude you just met? Either way, your friend is completely justified in not wanting to give you the contact info and also warning her friend about your history. She technically doesn't have say in who you date, but she can choose to not give you his contact info. If you want to stay friends with her, I would not pursue Ron. But if you truly don't care about the friendship and you find his contact info another way, that's your call. But if Ron would ever say to Amina that he's talking to you, she'll likely tell him what happened in the past, so then he would need to decide what he wants to do with that information. I care about the friendship, but it's hurtful she won't give me the grace and accept I've bettered myself. She doesn't owe you another chance, OP. You can't feel hurt for not getting what you are not owed. Imagine if your friend said she doesn't want you dating her friends because she thinks you'll cheat on them. That's pretty freaking hurtful. It would be hurtful if you hadn't literally done that. You're asking people to just trust that you changed, but you can't prove that you actually have. She's right to be wary. Update a year later. Years ago, when I was younger, I made the worst decision of my life and cheated on the love of my life and fiancé. I messed up, and I love him so much. I lost so much because of that stupid freaking mistake. That man I love is my friend's brother. During that time, she and I stopped being friends after my screw-up, but we rekindled. She's getting married in June. It will be the first time I see Sean since we split. I'm ready to win him back, but I don't know how. You don't. There are millions of good matches out there. You take what you learned, and you find somebody new. You deserve happiness, and he deserves to have the painful past in the past. If you can't control yourself, don't go to the wedding. If you remain convinced and intend to still go and try, You really need to ask yourself why you are obsessed with this idea. You are allowed to move on from your mistakes and find love. There is no single person that is the one for us. So why the obsession? No one can ever replace the history we had. His sister was my best friend growing up. Him and I were childhood friends, high school sweethearts. I just want one more chance. No one can change the past, that is true, including the fact you cheated on him. I recommend counseling. It'd be one thing if you were, what if he lets me know he's interested? But no, you are actively trying to make a plan to make it happen. He was the victim. You are creating a scenario where he will have to relive what you did to him. That is, you will be harming him again, at your friend's wedding. Stop being naive, dramatic and emotional about things you can't control. If he was interested in you, he would have let you know. What happened to Ron? I didn't pursue Ron because you all told me to respect my friend's boundaries and not pursue him. Last story. Dated for 7 years, and he dumped me by email in 2022. Now his brother wants me to send my ex a birthday message. I dated my now ex for most of my 20s, from 2015 to 22. Today, out of the blue, his younger brother messaged me saying he's putting together a birthday video for him and thought I might want to send something funny. And honestly, I'm in shock, going through so many emotions. In 2022, my ex, then 35 male, broke up with me, then 28 female, in the coldest, most distant way possible. We were doing long distance, for the first time after 6 years of dating, while I was away at college, and I'd fly out to see him every few months. I had just spent 2 weeks at his house, then flew back to school to start a new semester. That first week back, during our usual Thursday video call, he ended the conversation by telling me, "You should check your email." I opened it after we hung up and found an audio file, a recorded breakup message he had emailed me on Monday. He literally ended our relationship after years in an audio file that he emailed to me, but only told me about 3 days later. I sat there in disbelief, and he wasn't texting me back. I didn't sleep at all that night. We FaceTimed that weekend, and he said he didn't love me anymore because I was focused on my education. But he said nothing during the 2 weeks I was staying with him the week prior. So now, years later, to be asked to participate in this birthday surprise video feels surreal. Part of me wants to laugh at the absurdity of it all, because his younger brother knows all about how our breakup happened. He repeatedly told my ex, his older brother, that he would regret breaking up with me, that if he wasn't already married, he would happily marry me, and that my ex was making a mistake letting me go. I've made my peace with it and have moved on. I don't live in that state anymore, like totally moved on. I've been laughing at the absurdity of it all, and a small quiet part of me is just heartbroken. Anyway, I guess I just needed to get that off my chest before I decide what to do. He probably told people a different version of what happened and that it was mutual and amicable. That's the only reason that makes sense why his brother would ask. Yes, he did say the breakup was mutual. He wanted to even stay to friends on social media and quietly delete our relationship status. I agreed, but eventually changed the captions on our photos and tagged pictures with him exposing the breakup and his insecurities. When someone told him months later, he unfriended me on everything. Send back the audio recording with happy birthday and don't reply to anything else. The audacity of his brother. Let the truth be heard, LOL. Whatever you do, do not reply the brother or anyone around him. You are about to be sucked into a narcissistic circle, and it will destroy you. I promise you the brother knows, but they want to test your mental and emotional boundaries and strength to see if they can mess with you again. If you reply, you will get follow-up message of apologies, and then explanation, and then promises. You will open old wound and begin to rationalize, and that's where you lose the last thread of self-love and preservation. Yeah, sadly I actually did respond back to the brother, and you're right. He did reply with, "Oh my god, sorry I brought all that back up." He's trying to hype me up to participate, but I've been told I should just block both my ex's brothers and unfriend his family from my socials.